sporting a new background on the Nutnfancy reviewing table. Let's get going. Check out this handsome fixed blade from our friends at SOG Knives. This is a Nutnfancy tabletop review on the outstanding, that's right, I said outstanding, SOG Northwest Ranger 2.0. I'm just going to call it the NDubR Ranger. And yes, I'm absolutely digging the Northwest Ranger. I have been for quite some time. I had big plans to take it out, thump on it, do some survival tasks in the wilderness, roll that footage in. You know what? I just got to get the review out. If I find anything different or something that conflicts with the data I'm going to attempt to share with you via TP, I will let you know at a future date. I'll either annotate the video, update the sidebar on this review. But I want to get this blade review out and throw it out for your consideration because it is outstanding. I'll tell you too, if it had a Kydex sheath or a plastic sheath that was designed well, kind of along the lines of the Seal Pup Elite, previously reviewed, highly recommended in the Nutnfancy project, this sucker would rate a solid 10 on my likability scale. You heard me right, solid 10. Jumping right into the philosophy of use. First up, you guys have heard me say this on several blades, but I'm very picky at which blades I say it about. I'm going to say the first POU on this is a soldier blade. An LBE blade. Something you would strap on your load-bearing equipment, roll around in theater on. You guys know, with my military background, I started the Nutnfancy project actually intending to hook into the law enforcement military audience. It expanded to so many awesome civilians around the world, so we're just one big happy family now. But I never forget my military folks out there, and that's what a lot of my reviews are designed for, and also my law enforcement guys. The Northwest Ranger, the NDubR, great option for a soldier. Another great gift item. Someone deploying, it is a mid-size, compact, easy to carry, on your LBE combat blade, soldier blade. And that's exactly how I've been porting it around during run and gun action here in the Nutnfancy project. You may have caught sight of it in a couple videos. Here it is, riding, this is a holster, not the holster, but the sheath to that one, riding in a tag gladiator rig. I'll talk about this here in a little bit. Great LBE knife. This is a knife that I think primarily serves utility roles as a soldier. Okay, not necessarily killing bad guys, but I absolutely do think it would function well in that role as well. Okay, I'm saying that it has all the features, which I'll talk about probably here, handle and guard, that will allow it to do that. Okay, again, I just want to be realistic in the review, but I think as an all-arounder, I mean, just opening packages, maybe popping a crate open, food preparation, a great sized blade. Maybe, just maybe, for some folks, maybe on a little bit on the large size. First POU, soldier blade, absolutely. Next one, camp blade, maybe survival blade of the stainless steel variety. Like I've talked about in other reviews, there's so many great non-stainless mid-size to small-size blades out there, right? The SOG Northwest Ranger is stainless though, of course, made out of AWS-8 steel. And by the way, the version that SOG uses is excellent. Love it. Good heat treat, takes and holds an edge very well. Adequately rust resistant, not outstanding. That's across the line to any AWS-8 steel. Great camp blade. You know, it will chop baton well. That's my forecast. Drill, you know, construct trap triggers, all the things you would want a medium-sized bushcrafting blade to do. I'm a little bit hesitant to say bushcrafting because that's become known as its own art form, and that's kind of what it is, where guys go out with their very small or medium-sized blade, and using only that, you know, they meet all the needs of life out there. I think this knife would function well in that, although I'm not a bushcrafting expert, nor do I know the absolute preferences that those guys that practice at, by the way, they're pretty hardcore, I'm not one, want. But as I go down the talking points, you'll see that it's a pretty squared away design. There may be some differences in grind angles that, you know, guys like that would prefer. Understood. As an overall camping knife, just food preparation stuff you do around camp, excellent. Here's another POU. I love this one. Fondling blade. Yep, just a knife you put in your collection and you just love it. Notice I didn't say collectible. in this case, and I'm probably going to play up on this more, fondling blade. It's just one you like to have and dream about going out in the woods and using. By the way, I think there's a lot more dreaming about going out in the woods than there is actually going out in the woods because of our schedules. I'm empathetic. And then finally, POU, I'll say a grapefruit knife. Actually, I just made that last one up. I'm just messing with you. You could do it, but I don't know. I just had to make that up, being silly. It's a medium-sized stainless steel survival knife, going back to that POU. I would much prefer this over, here it comes, the Bear Grylls knife. Much prefer it. It'll become clear as to why. Quality levels. Just like most SOG products, it's just top-notch. Fit and finish, excellent. Look at the finishing on that satin finished version of the NDub Ranger. Maybe I should just call it the NDubR. That's kind of a cool name. Beautiful satin finish on that. Oh, and by the way, that's not the only one in the Nutnfancy project right now. By way of representation, here comes, cue the whip sound, the blackened version. Oh, now there's a soldier version right there, right? Guys are probably getting scared. What? Soldier knife with all that shine, Nutnfancy? Nah, I'd go with this one. You know that. If I couldn't, I'd just Duracoat it. Good looking blades, fit and finish, perfection. That's all I can say. Perfection. The black coatings, just I don't see any problems whatsoever, both in the knife and in the sheath, what I'm talking about, well, which I will talk about here in a sec. Weight, balance, and feel. Huge upside to the Northwest Ranger. First off, the weight, total carry weight with the leather sheath, 8.6 ounces. In the ballpark. The knife itself, a svelte 5.6 ounces. Man, dudes, I'm excited about that. That is a lightweight blade. Getting back to the philosophy of use, soldier blade. I always have to laugh when I see a picture or advertising or hype from the manufacturers and or distributors with a dude in theater sporting like a pound knife on his LBE. Maybe bigger. A huge knife. I mean, seriously, you don't need that in that role, in my opinion. That's all it is, my opinion. You need a utility knife, maybe a close quarter battle knife. In most cases, a knife this size will suffice. There's a couple times I've varied from that, like the Cold Steel OSS, that is a much larger blade, but it's so light. That's why I gave that one a waiver. You want something lightweight and compact. I mean, you're carrying all the stuff I've talked about, hard armor plates, ammunition, first aid, food, Game Boys, whatever. Yeah, this is a great weight, guys, and the feel is excellent. It's very well balanced, in my opinion, both in the forward grip and in the reverse grip. Outstanding. Love the feel and the balance of the Northwest Ranger. Blade design. Oh, just keeps getting better from here. The classic clip blade. What's not to like about the classic clip blade? How many times have I said that on camera? Lots. Oh, there's more. Full flat ground. Nutnfancy, you always like the full flat grinding. I know, I do. I admit it. Maybe it's not perfect for all tasks. And yes, there are some hollow ground blades I like equally as well. Where did it go? I had one here on the table. Oh, it's over there, out of reach. The SOG Field Pup. That's a hollow ground blade. Love it. Great. But I like the FFG blades, generally speaking, across the board for most tasks. This is another case in point. I like the approach to the the relief edge, the cutting edge. I like. It's classic. Look at the belly and the clip blade, just right. The tip, it's kind of precise in the NDubR. See that? I like that. That's good for detail work. Would it break in batoning? Well, some guys I think misinterpret me when I go out and thump on blades. I don't think every knife has to baton. I think it's just a good overall test for the blade strength and the tip strength. I think it would be adequate, 10 below 0, would it break? It could. Every knife can break. I said that too. Love the blade shape. Oh, and check this out. Getting into its capabilities in the tactical, i.e. self-defense role, look at the top side. Look at that jimping. I need to focus this again. Ideally executed. How often do I say that on camera? How about never? Well, I shouldn't say never. It's very seldom I say that a jimping job is ideal. It's perfect. You don't really need a thumb ramp up top when the jimping's that purposeful. There's that word again. And then on the bottom, kind of getting to the guard, you have a nice index finger place right there on the extended guard. I like that. That's a nice feature. So nothing topside, you have it on the bottom, but great jimping on the top. Overall, the blade is outstanding. Look how sharp this sucker is too. Oh my goodness. Out of the box, great job, SOG. Very sharp. Where's that cord? I found some cord lying around. I'm gonna just cut through this. Another good test. Wasting airtime, no doubt. I was gonna like quadruple it, but I'll just do this right here. Who needs a serrated knife when your PE is that sharp? I've always said that. Plain edge, I'm talking. Home run, dude. How about the AWC steel? Again, I love it. It's a good, high-value steel, very capable. I prefer it, like I've said in a recent review, over 440C any day. You know, over 154 cm. Between the two, the way SOG does their AWC, I wouldn't change nothing. Wouldn't change it. I think it's excellent. What a great job sharpening they did. By the way, the knot knife will be relatively easy to sharpen too. That comes from a friend who has a Northwest Ranger who is thumped on it. I meant to get some pictures, never had a chance. And loves it, and he abuses it. He's like, yeah, the edge comes right back. Again, if I find anything different, I'll let you know. Handle and guard. Let me go, kind of talked about the guard already. The handle. What you won't get with the NDubR is, I don't know, a non-lethal impact capability on the handle, which, by the way, I think is adequately sized. Again, my hands kind of trend towards a large size. If you have smaller hands than I do, I wear large size gloves. You'll like it even more. I don't like ultra small handles usually, depending on what the philosophy of use is on the knife. But you don't have like a pommel here. It's just extended Kraton going through what I think is a mostly full tang knife design. I didn't peel it off to take a look. Maybe right about here or something. Good enough for the roll, I think. I love the handle. Kraton is excellent. Absorbs shock, insulates against cold and hot. Relatively durable. They will wear out. I've talked about that. There's your lanyard hole if you insist on putting a lanyard here. And it's lined, by the way, which makes putting that lanyard on all that much easier. Kraton is not a miracle grip, though. Some guys act like it is. I shouldn't say guys. Manufacturers act like it is. Oh, Kraton, it provides grip when wet. Well, take it from me. I don't find that to be the case. I mean, I get out in really bad conditions, as you've seen here in TMP, a lot. And I've used a lot of cold steel products that are running with Kraton, and they can get slippery. I ain't lying to you. One of the best materials is micarta. Properly milled micarta, once it gets wet, gives you a lot of traction. You mill it on the side, even more. G10, the aggressively textured G10 that cold steel uses. Very good in wet conditions. I got it right over here. This is Recon 1, this stuff right here. Really good in wet. There's a little side tour, detour. Love that handle though, it's excellent. The guard, as I'm talking about, nothing topside, no thumb ramp, great jimping. Wouldn't change much about the guard. Some guys are like, well, I wanted something, you know, on top. I don't like that it doesn't have a guard on top. I love it. Everything you would change to do something like that would add weight too. I don't want to add any more weight to this. Okay, here comes the downside. The sheath, not, I wouldn't say bad, it's just not super outstanding. I generally don't like leather sheaths, especially in the philosophy of use of camp/survival blade. How many times have you seen me out in the woods? Kind of like in my recently posted series of videos, Winter Sense, when I'm taking the scouts out, and I had a trail master there with a leather sheath. It was all I could do trying to keep that leather sheath dry, so when I put that carbon steel blade back in, it doesn't rust into oblivion, and yes, that can happen. Oh, a little rust won't hurt you, Nutnfancy. Well, maybe not a little bit, a lot will, and it will kill your edge. I've seen it. And you go into a salty environment, even worse, you immerse your leather sheath, you're done for the trip. You're probably not going to dry it out until you get back home. You see, as a true survival knife, I understand the passion for, you know, natural materials, but I like synthetics, you know, Kydex and plastic in that philosophy of use. Also, as a soldier knife, LBE blade, how are you going to attach this to your LBE? Looped over, traditional snap, and oh, and by the way, it's very slow to put in because you're running into that snap. It's kind of a problem. Okay, as far as the construction quality goes on this sheath, it's excellent. Okay, it's, I mean, stitching is good, the finish is good, It's riveted. I have no issues with it. I'm just talking about the choice of materials, but this is how I attached it, and I made a video of this earlier. Again, we look at the Tag Gladiator chest rig, and this was the one made by Michaels of Oregon, marketed under the Blackwater tactical name, which totally failed, and then they liquidated it shortly thereafter. I scored a couple of these. They were like $7 a piece. I told you guys about this like a year and a half ago. You should have scored some. With this modification, this is the Northwest Ranger sheath. It rides very well on LBE. Yes, this added a little bit of weight. Are there other ways to attach this? Yeah, there are. Probably the best way is just make a new sheath for it. There's several makers of Kydex sheaths out there, but it's going to add cost. Sometimes a lot of cost. You got to ask, answer that for yourself. Is it worth it? Kydex sheath doing it. The sheath is the only downside on the Northwest Ranger. Seriously. Competitive options. There's a lot out there. Now, if we narrow it down and say, well, we only want stainless steel soldier or camp knives, then at this price point, I'm saying, we're not going customs, not going semi-customs, then I think the field is somewhat more narrow. You might consider the outstanding Cold Steel SRK. Great knife. Great knife. Around the ballpark in value as this one. It's going to be heavier. It's going to be thicker and probably more capable depending on what you're doing with it. But I don't know if it's as good, let me speak. I don't know if it's as good an LBE knife as this one because of weight. Remember, I'm watching every ounce. All those ounces add up to pounds before you know it. Great knife. Still love the SRK. Still a top soldier knife / camp survival knife for me. By the way, this is or VG1 Sanmai 3, donated by an awesome TMPer to TMP. I know, crazy. Separate review coming on this version later on. Great knife. I had some other ones running around. I just reviewed the TSK, Tactical Steak Knife in 440C from Tops Knives. Here comes one out of left field, way cheaper than this one. Kershaw Bear Hunter 2, model number 1029. Great knife. Great knife. You're going to see extremely positive review on this blade as well. Extremely positive. Between the two, which one would I choose? I do like the width on this one a little bit better. It's going to cut, depending on what your task is, maybe a little bit better as far as maneuvering through material. That's what I'm talking about. There's just a couple more out there. But I'll tell you what, getting into price, value, that's the last part there. I'll come back to kinds of cool. It's hard to beat. If you score the black one for around $65 or around there, maybe $61, you are doing well. Doing well. That's a good price. This black one's going to be a little bit more expensive, at least as of 2011. And SOG, please do not discontinue this. I hope you sell thousands. I hope I can help with this video because it's such a squared away knife. If you can score the satin finished one, plain edge is always my preference, of course, for around $52, you're doing well. Look in the upper right. That's my recommended places to go score these knives. I'm always trying to save you money. It's my whole job to save you money, hook you into the good gear. It excites me. If you paid $55 for that, you're still doing good. I mean, for that much quality, amazing. Two kinds of cool. It's mostly a user knife in my opinion. I did say the fondling POU, which I think is hilarious, but a lot of us as knife freaks, which we are, we're freaks, we like just holding knives, man. It's fun. Checking them out. I think a folder, kind of like that Spyderco Navaja that I just reviewed. Funner to play with because, there's some mechanism there. You can play with it. Fixed blade's fun too, though. What a great knife. Good looking knife. Very functional on all the POUs I've designated. The value is absolutely amazing. It cannot be improved except by the addition of a Kydex or plastic sheath. The NDubR 2.0. Home run for SOG. I hope they keep it in their lineup forever. It is a classic design that will excel in all those philosophies of use, is my opinion. If I find out differently, you'll hear it here. This is a Nutnfancy review on what I consider to be a fabulous blade. See ya.